What's up guys, Noah Arquezi here, and today I'm bringing you guys a tutorial on how I created my two Italy concept kits. These are my two most popular Instagram posts of the year, I believe. So this is the home kit, and then this is the away. And I'm gonna dive in how to create this yourself or something similar and the thought process behind these. Before we get going, I just want to say that the template I'm using is this one, the half collar soccer mock-up templates from my website templatefc.com. I create all the mock-up templates and patterns that are here, which by the way, you're going to want patterns for designing kits and stuff. You'll see that I have some pre-prepared patterns for these kit designs. I also use the hanger mock-up in my display on Instagram, which comes with, I believe 10 files. So 10 different hanger mockups of the same shirt. And there's also a full kit one if you want to create a full kit. There's also a lot of other soccer mockup templates on Template FC if you want a different template for creating your design. I'm going to show you both of these designs. Let's go ahead and quit out of these two. I also want to show you guys that this is what the template looks like when you first get it. So you have 3 lightings, you have an avatar, 2 shadow options, color options, design options. So this is what it looks like. I have a tutorial file ready, which is similar to how the file is when I work with it. So you can see I delete some of the lightings. I only really like lighting 3. I don't have the avatar and some of the shadows. So you can see stuff is moved around as well. Just happens when you're working with mock-up templates over and over again, you kind of figure out what you like and what you don't. So getting started, you want to set up your colors. You can see I have my colors already set up because it's something I cover in all my tutorials basically. But usually you can get the colors from the badge. So you just drag and drop the logo in, which I've already done. So let's go to the body layer and open that up, and you can see I have 2 logos folders. So this is like the traditional setup, but I went with a center setup, as you can see, don't need that one. And I went with this goldish color, and it's basically a brown, and then I added a simple gradient, like different grays on overlay 100% to kind of give it a reflective finish a little bit. The blue and gold I'm using, I have saved over here. So what I typically do is add the logo, and then you can just click your colors over here and then go and select that blue or whatever, and then add to swatch. And then you can name this like Italy blue or whatever you want. Click OK. I'm not going to click OK because I already have it, but then it'll appear into your libraries. If you need your libraries visible, you just go to Window, Libraries, and you should have these. You might have to click Colors or something, but it's nice to have your colors saved over here while you're working. You can see I have a lot, but I know my 2 are right here. That's what I do. And then I would go to my colors. I would select all the colors. I want navy, which you can see is basically everything. Click navy, and then I can go to the accent and click gold, and it'll make it gold. And obviously that didn't change anything because those are those colors, but you can see this is gold. If I click navy, it makes it navy. Click gold, makes it gold. Nice and simple. And then the stripes are gold. So I only have the accents and stripes as gold. Everything else is this navy color. Obviously Italy doesn't really ever have a navy kit, but I thought it was fitting, and I was trying to be creative and different. I wanted a luxurious kind of design, so navy and gold kind of work. Now for the patterns, I use a pattern of some sort, probably multiple for every design I do. And usually I try to like figure that out before designing a kit. Just think about what I want to go for in my design and try to find a pattern that like fits that aesthetic or whatever it is. So I have a patterns book, and I went through and I found this pattern. It's called Chrysler, and it's actually, I believe it's in the Chrysler building in New York City, and it's by Osborne and Little. It's this pattern here. It's actually like more of a tannish gray, but I found it online and brought it in here and made it gray. You can see it's not the best quality, but I really like the different shapes in here, like these sharp bits and then like the wavy part, and it looks like leaves or something, but it's pretty abstract and interesting. So that's the pattern I found and wanted to use as my base for this design. Now I also have another pattern here, which is going to be used later, which is sort of like a trim design pattern. that I had. Obviously, as a designer, I just have a collection of patterns, and this was one that I thought looked kind of fancy and fit into my design. I did not have this one picked out before I started the design though. I found it later. So keep that in mind. Let's go ahead and get started. So I have my pattern and I brought it in here. I'll try to remember to have this like available for download somewhere in the description. And I want to just duplicate this and spread it out across the entire kit. So I'm going to press Command J to duplicate it, set it up, hold Shift and select both layers, Command J to duplicate, drag them up. Cool. Select them all together. Let's press Command G to group, Command J to duplicate, and drag them across. Hold Shift and select both again, Command J to duplicate. There we go. Select them all, group, and I'm going to press Command A to select everything and then go up with the move tool selected and center both ways. Command D to deselect, and I'm going to press Command J, Command E to merge, and then hide group 2. And then I'm going to press Command minus to just zoom out for a second. And I'm going to press Command T. I'm going to increase the size a bit and rotate 30 degrees, I think. And then just increase the size till it fits the document. Press Enter. Set it to overlay, and we're going to do 30%. Hit enter. There is our initial pattern setup. This looks cool already, but we want to continue to modify this pattern. Obviously, I don't want to just take a pattern, throw it in, set it to overlay, and call it a day. I think that's a little boring. I want to modify this and make it something more interesting. So I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this layer and go back and set it to normal, 100%. And I'm going to hide our logo setup for now. I'm going to go to select, and I'm going to go to color range. And I want to go and select the black with this eyedropper, which will automatically come up. You could select a different, you could do the whites if you want, or like the lighter color, but I'm going to go with the darker color. And my fuzziness is set to 90. You can change this as well and it'll change the look. I'm just going to leave it at 90 and click OK. And then come down here to the mask and mask that off. So now you should just have a black pattern essentially. With the blue. I'm going to right click on the layer mask and apply layer mask. So now this is locked in, and we want to select or press Command and click on the thumbnail to select that again and go back down to the layer mask and make another layer mask. And then your layer mask should be selected. Press Command I to inverse it. And now it should be kind of invisible. You might have like a weird border, but that's okay. Let's unlink the chain by clicking that. And let's have the layer mask selected, and you can use the arrow keys and just go down. And you can see we create some little bits at the top of the pattern that are black. Let me actually double click this and color overlay, and there, yeah. Now you can see it with the white. But what we want to do is actually come to our Italy blue color. Let me click that, double click on layer style again, color overlay, select a color, and select that navy blue. Click OK, OK. So we should have something like that. And maybe I go to that layer mask and bump it up just a bit more. So it's like that. Let's relink the chain, and we can bring our logos back. And you can see the difference there. It just kind of cuts off part of the pattern just a little bit. But what we're going to do with that then is duplicate it twice, and those two duplicated ones you want to select while holding Shift and press Command G to group. The top one you want to call dark, and the bottom one you want to call overlay or something like that. Hold Shift and select both of them, right click, and actually the bottom one you just want to clear layer style. And then you can apply the layer mask to both of these. And then you can also rasterize the dark one and leave it as that color. We're gonna hide the dark one. The overlay, we're gonna come in, select that, press Command U for the hue and saturation, set it all the way up, set the lightness all the way to 100 and click OK. And then set that to overlay. So now we have something that looks like this, which looks a lot more interesting. We're bringing in a lot more blues. That's part of the reason I picked this pattern too, by the way, is because it had different grays. It had like black, gray, and white. So when you set it to overlay, you get a lot of blues that come out of this navy that we picked. Let's make the dark one visible, and what we want to do with that one is click, hold shift, and drag up a bit. Now there's no real distance you have to go. You just have to go a little bit so it's not in the same spot. And you'll see what we do with that later. But let's go ahead and add a layer mask to both of these. And then let's go to our brush tool and let's get a normal soft brush. Soft brush, I'm gonna increase the size, probably like, what, 200 or 300 maybe? Oh, probably way more actually. We'll go 700. Gonna hide the dark one for now. Let's go to the light one. I want black as my foreground color. Gonna press Command minus to zoom out a bit, and I'm just gonna erase some parts here. And I just feel that adds a little bit of depth. You can see that's it all, that's without the layer mask, and then you add it and it just has that little bit of depth that I like. I'm gonna decrease the size. By the way, I'm using the bracket keys on the keyboard to change the size. Let's do the same thing to the dark one. So let's make that visible. And I'm actually gonna increase the size and kind of erase more of this. So that's just very subtle texture throughout the pattern that I think it adds a nice effect. Maybe we actually flip this to white and add just a little bit of more. It's a little too much erased. But there we go. Okay, I think I'm happy with that. Before we move on though, I'm actually gonna come back to the overlay one. I'm gonna press Command J to duplicate that one time and set it to maybe 25% opacity. Just because I want like a little bit of the brighter colors in there still. I don't want them to be too gone. So that's very nice. Now my group is called group 3. I'm gonna select that, hold shift all the way down to our color fill, press Command J and Command E to merge. So now we have that merged, and I'm gonna press Command A to select, Command C and Command V. And now we have a cropped version of that. We're gonna then press Command T and hold Alt and increase the size to like maybe almost 200%, maybe a little less. So I'll go like 175-ish increase and just set that up so it looks like in an interesting fashion. I think these elements visible are pretty interesting. I like this balance. I'm then gonna go to Filter, Distort, Wave. And I want a high wavelength. So the min and max, I'm gonna make pretty big. Amplitude should be fine. Let's click OK and see what that looks like. Cool, let me actually go to Filter, Wave again. That might be too much. I kind of like it though. It might not be the same as my original, but we're gonna go with this. I like it, let's rock on. So let's go ahead and do the same kind of cropping technique we did before. So Command A, C, V. So we have a cropped version of that. And then go below that layer. So that's my layer 20. And actually go to the bottom color fill, press Command J to duplicate and bring that up below our layer 20. And we're gonna go ahead and create basically a new pattern with the pattern we just created. So we can hide this now, and I wanted to create a diamond shaped pattern because I associate it with like luxury, and like the navy and gold is kind of like a luxurious color combination. So let's go ahead and create our own diamond shape. So I'm actually just gonna get the rectangle tool, create a square. Let's rasterize it by right clicking the layer, rasterize. Command T, let's rotate 45, press enter, press Command T again. Hold shift and select the outer point and create a diamond like so. And I'm gonna press Command A and then come up here and center it. Then we're gonna take our layer 20 or our merged version of this pattern, bring it above the rectangle, hold Alt and select to make that a clipping mask. Press Command T and then we can decrease the size And we want to set this up just so it looks a little interesting. Okay, I think I kind of like this. This is like the top left kind of part of my pattern. And I'm gonna select both the layer mask or the clipping mask and the rectangle. Press Command G to group, Command J, Command E, and we'll call this diamond. And I'm gonna bring this all the way down to the bottom so the middle is bisected. And let's press Command J, drag it up, go to the tip, and then just add a little bit of space. And then holding Shift, select them both again, duplicate, do the same thing. That might be too much space. And then let's select everything, bring it down, and let's just go to the top one, duplicate that once with Command J, and add it to the top. And holding Shift, select all of these, and go to these three dots up here, and go to distribute, and do this one here so we have an even distribution of these, and press Command G. Then we want to press Command G again, and we're gonna call that group pattern. And you can name these groups. I never really name groups, but let's go back to this group 5. Actually, we'll just call them what? This is a column technically, I guess. And then let's duplicate that, and let's drag it down to in between the pattern we created. So that looks about even. Let's space it out a little bit more. Actually, maybe a little bit less. Okay, cool. Select both of the columns, Command J again, drag them over. Nice. And since this one is our middle one, we can select the other 3 holding Shift, duplicate, and drag them over, and then they should line up like so. Cool. And then select all the columns and distribute the other way now, so they are even. Select the pattern layer, press Command A, and then come here and center. Okay, now this background color fill that we duplicated, you want to zoom in, double click to change the color, and select the dark blue. So now we have this dark blue. Press Command C and copy that. Click OK. We'll actually come to the first column, double click on that layer, and go to Stroke, Inside, select the color, paste that blue, click OK. We want to be at like 20, I think, 20 or 22, but that's looking a little thick. Let's try 12. Click OK. On that column, right click, copy layer style. Select all the other columns, right click, and paste. And that gap's a little too thick for me, so let me come back into the original column, and I want it to be maybe, let's do 7. Click OK. Right click, copy layer style, select them all again, and paste. Now you don't have to do this step if you spaced out your diamonds more. Initially when I made this, I did not space them out enough, so I did this to create more space in between them. If you're just good at spacing them initially, you don't have that problem. There we go. There is our main background. Now what I like to do is have that pattern group selected, go all the way down to the color fill, Command J, Command E, Command A, Command C, Command V. And now we have the cropped version. And you could also actually press Command H, get your rectangle marquee tool, select one side, come down to the layer mask, and then that'll cut it in half. Press Command T, right click, flip horizontal, and now you have a symmetrical pattern. And because of the way we set up the diamond, you can see we kind of have like this light colored line going through, which I didn't have in my original. It's kind of like a happy accident here. And then if I do it symmetrically, you can see we have like a bit of a chevron, and I actually kind of like this better than my original design. But let's move on to the center stripe. Actually, I'll save this real quick and we can take a look, and I can talk you through my thought process of when I was designing this. So I created this pattern and I looked at the shirt with this pattern, and I thought it just needed a break and it needed a focal point So I thought a nice center stripe down the middle would do it. Just doing a normal center stripe is a little boring, so I wanted to add a little bit of more interest to it. So I added a pattern along with it. But let's go ahead and create our center stripe. So get the rectangle tool, and we're gonna press Command H, click in the center. And I want this to be about 600 pixels wide, I think, just to get my logos in. And we can double click. Sorry, my color, all my panels show up on my other monitor, so I'm sorry I have to keep dragging them. But let's press Command V to paste that blue in. And then we can set this up like so. Command H to hide the guide. And then I have my stripe pattern here. Let's make this white so we can actually see it a bit. So this is just something that I had that I thought fit. Of course, you can go online, find patterns, create your own pattern, whatever you got to do. And I wanted this on the edge. So let's go to the edge and then bring it in just a bit. And I already have it as a color fill. I'm gonna just double click and select my color. And I think I just picked out one of the blues on the side, maybe one of the lighter ones. Yeah, so let's just do, that's too bright. So let me select a blue and just increase it a bit in its brightness. I do have a hex code written down, but I want this to be its own kind of design. So click OK, and then let's duplicate our rectangle background stripe, bring that to the front, press Command T, and I want this to be the bottom part of the stripe. And let's select that color and select the color of the pattern, and then we want this one to be just a little darker. A little darker and a little duller. Like that, so it's like this color almost. Actually, we'll just select that color, cool, okay. Zoom out. Nice, I think I like that. I think I'd want it more in though, like that. And I'm gonna group these two. So this is size stripe, duplicate, Command T, right click, flip horizontal, press enter. And let's go over to the other side. And then we can select both of those and group them. And then press Command A and center. And there we go, cool. Let's save this and check out what this is looking like. And that's looking awesome. Let's go ahead and add some stuff to the sleeves. So I'm gonna go down to the right. By the way, I have like everything else unchecked already, obviously. But let's go down to the sleeves. Open both of these up. I think in the template, it has the rectangle at the bottom that acts as the trim. So you wanna open that up. If you don't have that, I can't remember if it's in the template or not. You just wanna create a rectangle, and let's see what the thickness is. About 170 in height, and then that should work. But the color you wanna use here, if you double click, you just wanna press Command V and paste your dark navy blue. Click OK. And we can do that on the other side. You can also add logos and stuff here. So I added, this was for like the Euros. So I had the Euro patches added. And then let's come back to our body. And if we go to the pattern right below where our center stripe is, and we can actually select just these two layers, the main pattern and then the cropped one that we flipped to make it symmetrical. Press Command J, Command E, Command A, Command C, Command V. And we already have it copied, so let's go to the sleeve, go to the bottom color fill or the bottom layer, paste, press Command T and bring the center towards like in line with the patch or wherever your logos are or wherever the outer edge of the sleeve is. Like that's what we're centering with essentially. Let's save that. Go over to the other side. Let's do the same thing. Paste, Command T, let's center it here. Save. Nice. And the final thing I did was add a little Italy flag on the trim. And this is, I literally Googled the Italian flag, added it in, pressed Command T and shrunk it to this thin bit. and then did that on both sides. So let's save that, and that's my final touch. There is our Italy kit. Let's compare it with my original one. There's the original, and here's the other one. You can see our background patterns a little different in the way it's set up, but yeah, I don't even know which one I like better. They're both pretty cool. I think the background pattern here, when I put in the diamond, I should have had it a little bit bigger. I made it a little too small. I definitely like the size over here more. There you go, guys. Now let's move on to the away kit. All right, now we're on the away kit. I have the color set up again. I went with a tan color here. If I double click it, you can see it's E2DBC1. So it's still the golden blue theme, golden navy theme, but the gold this time is more of a tan. I just think that works a little bit better for an away kit, which is what this was. And I added that tan to my color swatches over here. I didn't add it to my colors over here because I just made it the base basically, and then the background color fill on these layers. And then that's all I should be using it for. We are going to be using our Chrysler pattern again as the background base. And then I knew what I wanted going into this shirt design. So you can see I have the Italy logo in the middle, the number up here. I want a navy hoop stripe across the front, and I want to add some cool Italian patterns to it. So I researched a bunch of Italian patterns, picked about a dozen to 14 out, and had them set up, and I tried them all with the blue stripe I created. For tutorial purposes, I have the final ones that I used already set to go. So you can see I have this, I forget what this is called, but it's inspired by ancient Greece. Obviously you would have probably seen this in Greek work. Also saw it in ancient Rome, but it's used everywhere. Originally it's Greek, but the Italians have used it a lot as well, and I thought it fit. It also just looks really nice and interesting. And then this pattern, this is just a cool shape I saw and I made a pattern out of it. It just kind of worked with what I was doing. There's no real rhyme or reason. I tried a few patterns. This just caught my eye the most. I think it kind of has like that floral look, and it has a nice balance with like the structured boxiness of this and then like the fluid roundedness of this. It's just two contrasting patterns that I thought looked good together. So I will be using those later. Again, when you're designing stuff, it's good to pick out patterns and have patterns ready to go. Template FC obviously has so many kit patterns, and that's what I usually use. But sometimes you want to be different and just kind of have your own thing, and that's what this was. Let's get to the design. So I have our Chrysler pattern here. This time it's the full canvas, and I want it to be more black and white. I don't want all the grays. So let's go to the adjustments, and let's find threshold, which I cannot, oh, there it is. Threshold, and we want to make this black and white, and it's at 128. I think that works for us. Zoom out. That's pretty nice. You can see if you just drag this arrow, you can adjust it so we could get more black, we could get more white, but I think 128 is great. Let's group both of these. So hold shift, select them both, Command G to duplicate, Command E to merge. And let's press Command T on that and go down to about halfway. And let's bring this over to the right. I'm gonna press Command or Enter and then Command H and make sure this is centered. I'm gonna duplicate this and bring it to the top. And then let's select both of these. Command J to duplicate, Command T, right click, flip horizontal, and bring it to the other side. And actually, let me press Command T, right click, flip horizontal, hit enter, select the first two, and do the same thing. I want this to be symmetrical, but I want this part in the middle. That's what I'm looking for. Very nice. Now we can select all four of those and press Command G to group them, Command J, Command E. And now we have that on one layer. And let's go ahead and set that to overlay, 26. And there is our background pattern that I created. Nice and simple, not adjusting this pattern too much, but it's just like the subtle background. And you'll notice we have this line here, but because we're adding a stripe across that, that will get covered up, so it won't matter anyway. So let's go ahead and create our hoop. Let's go ahead and get the rectangle tool. and create our hoop. What size did I do this? About 470 it says. So let's go about there. I'm gonna drag it a little further on both sides. Press enter, Command A, center. Now I'm gonna get my border pattern because this is the pattern I had picked out and I decided upon right away. So I'm gonna select that, holding Command, clicking the thumbnail. Let's go down to my rectangle and add it here by adding a solid color and our navy. And let's drag this to the top. And then let's duplicate that, Command T, right click, flip vertical, and drag that to the bottom. Now, I want a little bit, oh, is this actually a different blue? It is. Let's make sure these are the same, cool. I wanted a little bit of a gap here. So let's go ahead and, actually I might delete the bottom one and duplicate the rectangle. Right click and let's make that tan. Press Command T and let's adjust the size so it covers this blue pattern. And I want to extend it ever so slightly at the bottom. And maybe I flip this, flip vertical. Does that look better? I think I like that better. And I think I want to make this even thicker. Like that. That looks more right to me. We can group these two then. Command J, Command T, right click, flip. And let's put that at the bottom. Kind of want to bump this up a bit. Nice. And then I thought this blue was just a little too barren and I wanted to add this middle pattern. So I'm gonna select this middle pattern and do the same color fill option, solid color. And this time I want it to be tan. And let's drag it up into the blue. And let's go about there. And I'm gonna press Command G to group it. And then come to the rectangle, hold Command and select this little icon, which will select the rectangle. Come to group 4 that we put this in, layer mask it, and then unlink it, Command T on the layer mask to adjust it. And we want this to just kind of be the bottom third, like that. And then come to the pattern and set it to overlay. And you can see at 100%, that is like the perfect amount. And we can adjust this if we want to see it a little bit more. However you want to do it is fine. But relink that chain, press Command J to duplicate. Let's hide both the layers above so I can get this right. But let's right click, flip horizontal, drag it, and you want to drag it to the top. Clicked in place, perfect. We can bring these back. We can also then duplicate everything. So let's actually select everything, group it, Command J, Command E to merge. So now we have our stripe locked into place. And I want to add this border again, but with the tan color so it's more subtle. So let's go back in here. And this is the top one. Let's duplicate this one, take it out, drag it to the top. Let's actually increase the size of it too. Maybe. Just a bit. And I want it below the stripe. And instead of the navy color, let's double click that and change it to the darker tan. And then let's make sure that the rectangle, double click that, is the lighter tan. You could duplicate and merge. I'm just gonna merge and then Command T, duplicate, right click, flip, bring that to the bottom. Now the last thing we want to do is let's hide this stripe, go back into our stripe folder. Let's duplicate one of the group 4s, which is the overlay, bring that out, and we need the rectangle too, actually. Duplicate the rectangle, bring that out. And we're gonna make the rectangle the light tan color and change the size to extend to the top and bottom of our tan pattern. And I don't know why this looks, maybe we go that. Yeah, let's just go with the background color. Maybe I didn't do this lighter one. So normal tan background, click OK. And then we can delete this layer mask, take this out of the group, delete that group. Put this in the middle. Let's increase the size of it so it takes up everything, and then double click and let's make it the darker one and set it to normal. Or do we do the lighter one? I like the darker one. I still feel like this should be, the rectangle should be the lighter one. Let's just do that. I think that looks right. And then we can group and merge all of that. I don't know if I did that the same way the first time, but it was something like that. So you might be asking why I did that, because we don't even see it here. But we want to select from that, from below the stripe, that new tan stripe we created. Hold shift, go all the way down, Command J, Command E, Command A, Command C, Command V. Go to our sleeve, paste. And let me bring up our logo again and center it with that. And you can see now we have that on the sleeves, which is why we did all that. Let's go ahead and do the same thing here. Get that logo up. Boom. Save, save, save. Which, by the way, when I'm creating this, I'm saving the body and looking at it on the mockup a lot more than I showed, but there we go. That's looking sweet. Let's go ahead and grab the stripe real fast. So let's just copy it. So select it and copy. Come down, let's add our rectangle. This rectangle is a different size now. Let's see what this one is. It's a little thicker. About 227 in height. But we're gonna paste our stripe and line it up with the top, so it's something like that. And we can bring the middle over there. Command S and save. Bring it over here. Command S and save. Nice, so we have that trim. And then we can also do the same thing with the collar. I'm not gonna show the copy and paste part, but you can see I have it already prepped and ready to go. And boom, there it is. And that's how you finish it off. So I took that one main element, oops, and added it to the trim. And I think that just finishes off the design really nice. The background pattern might be a little too visible, could probably be a little more subtle, but apologies for the long tutorial, but I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you learned something. Just have patterns ready to go. That's my biggest thing I want to get across. Having access to patterns is just fantastic. Collect them, have a sort of setup somewhere on your computer that you can go through patterns, find what you're looking for, pre-plan some of your ideas, and you should be able to create some awesome stuff. If you guys want to see a tutorial on anything else, let me know. Thank you guys for watching. Be sure to check out templatefc.com. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter where I post all these designs. Instagram, that's Quezzy, Twitter, Quezzy, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.